Oh, well, fancy seeing you here. So today's loaf of bread is from a familiar source, Robert Anton Wilson. I've been running into a lot of his stuff lately. I haven't actually read anything by him, but I've looked into him a little bit because usually when someone starts beeping on my radar over and over again, they're onto something, and I'm going to want to learn about that person. So anyways, Robert Anton Wilson, he says, long before quantum mechanics, the German philosopher Husserl said that all perception is a gamble. Every type of bigotry, every type of racism, sexism, prejudice, every dogmatic ideology that allows people to kill other people with a clear conscience, every stupid cult, every superstition, written religion, every kind of ignorance in the world, all results from not realizing that our perceptions are gambles. We believe what we see and then believe our interpretation of it. We don't even know we are making an interpretation most of the time. We think that this is reality. In philosophy, that is called naive realism. What I perceive is reality. So that's a pretty lengthy one, but there actually isn't all that much to unpack, especially if you've been watching these videos over the last 4 or 5 weeks. This is something that I keep returning to, and I'll probably stop doing that eventually, but it's important for me, anyways, to remind myself that all perception is a gamble. It's a very clever way of putting it. It's kind of like saying perspective is reality. Your reality is your perspective. That's not actually reality with a capital R, which we can't really know. We're separated or isolated from reality with a capital R by our bodies and our perceptual limitations. So what we experience isn't reality, it's a gamble, it's an approximation, it's a model. And then on top of the model, we have our own personal subjective interpretation. There's a wide range of interpretations and belief systems, and they're all based on a similar model, which is, as this philosopher stated, a gamble. So then, after stating this, Robert Anton Wilson goes on to list a lot of things which are not very good for us. Sexism, racism, prejudice, all this other stuff, cults, ideologies that allow people to kill other people with a clear conscience. All of these things stem from our confusing the gamble with reality. And in philosophy, he goes on to tell us that this is called naive realism, which is the idea that what I perceive is reality. So it's kind of all wrapped up neatly there. I like that because it states one of my key beliefs or principles that I live by in a pretty compact way. By reminding myself that perception is a gamble, that reality is just my perspective and nothing else. That my opinions and beliefs and worldview form basically a story, a narrative that is no more accurate or valid than any other person's. By reminding myself of these things, I can avoid or steer away from becoming a bigot, a racist, a sexist, or falling for a dogmatic ideology, believing that there is an invisible sky daddy watching me and who's kept a running tally of all the times I've touched myself in the naughty place. That's how I stay away from those things. That's how I make sure that I don't fall for any of these traps. Some people don't think that it's worthwhile to explore this idea that perception is a gamble. They might acknowledge it, but they don't want to get into the practical implications, especially if you say things like reality is just an illusion. People take that very defensively, and with good cause, because they assume that reality is their perspective. So they feel like their perspective is threatened. But it's not a threat. Your perspective is just your best guess. It's a good model. And you should always be refining your model and making it closer and closer to the truth. And you do that by observing. and studying and learning and practicing and so on. So this is just another piece in the puzzle for me. All perception is a gamble. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. The ultimate reality is within, not without. The further out you go, the farther away you get from the core of truth that is in the essence of all things. I think that's probably a lot to digest. I know it is for me. I'm kind of lost right now. So, anyways, that was your daily bread. Enjoy and live well, my friends.